Hello there. Today I watched the film 28 Years Later, and now I want to tell you about it. 28 Years Later was directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland. It stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, Ralph Fiennes, and Alfie Williams. It's a thriller horror film about a mother and son leaving their safe community to go on a journey through infected territory in search of a doctor. As a film, it offers a tense coming-of-age story that takes place in a world of zombies. The story at the heart of the film sees Spike, a 12-year-old boy, come to grips with the truth about his father and community and face off against death for the first time in his life. For its cast, there's a bunch of villager extras, Dr. Kelson, and then Spike's family. The villager extras don't get many lines and play simple folk living in tough times. They're a bit cult-like, but otherwise normal. They also don't react well to zombies or anyone they see as risky. Dr. Kelson is a mad doctor living on his own in the wilderness. He participates in strange rituals and follows a strong religious belief. Shunned by the others for his odd behavior, he hasn't been seen in years. Jamie, Spike's father, is an angry man trying to deal with his wife's illness and taking care of his son alone. He's a strong man with a lot of knowledge on how to survive the area, but he is also stuck in his ways and failing to deal with the situation properly. Isla is Spike's mother. She's suffering from a mystery illness that makes her confused and weak. Despite her confusion, she does what's best for Spike and her family, and tries to protect them with everything she's got. Finally, there's Spike, a young boy on the cusp of becoming a teenager. For most of his life, he's followed the rules to the letter and tried to make his elders proud. After his first trip into the wilderness, he finds himself disillusioned with his family and community, and sets out on the path to becoming a free thinker and a strong, independent adult. The visual journey takes place in northern England and is full of intense, horrifying interactions with the undead, long treks across scenic forests and coastal areas, and bouts of human drama between the various survivors. The undead are naked humans who mindlessly try to attack and eat any living thing they lay eyes on. They tear their prey apart with their claw-like fingers and sharp-fanged teeth, and they occasionally vomit blood into their victims' mouths. The zombies come in a decent variety pack too. There are fat zombies that look like they're bloated and about to explode. There's alpha zombies that are tougher, faster, and more Hulk-like. And then there are regular zombies who run really fast and die to a single strike. For music, they have a mix of genres, like punk, techno, and hip-hop to help add flavor, and instrumental tracks to build up the tension and add a bit of emotion to the scenery. Which brings me to my review. The story isn't well written, but the cast does a great job with it anyway. The visual journey also has quite a few exciting moments despite its flaws, and the soundtrack does a fantastic job of supporting the story. Starting with the story, it's hot nonsense piled onto more hot nonsense. It starts with a community of people who apparently haven't learned anything after 28 years of survival. They use the worst method possible to hunt, don't carry backup weapons, and send people out into the wilderness alone to die. It doesn't make a lick of sense, but that's the base for the rest of the film, so here we are. Then there's the actual story and how little sense it makes. The zombies appear randomly, reacting consistently, and they aren't a real threat to anyone but extras. The main characters slip by unharmed, despite making constant mistakes and being about as prepared as a newborn babe. Don't even get me started on the gas scene. There's so many stupid things about that scene and the explanation afterward that I just about left the theater in frustration. The film as a whole is littered with bad writing and poor decisions. It's not bad enough to be unwatchable, but it isn't a well-written story. You basically have to turn your brain off completely to make it through. When it comes to excitement, the story has tons of action. There's a fight against zombies every 20 minutes or less, and they do a great job of making the zombies seem like a real threat, despite them never actually getting any major kills. That said, they didn't do a good job of developing the characters or their journey. There's no real motivation for what they're doing, and they end up taking so many weird twists and turns that it's hard to even keep track of what's going on. It just feels like an overstuffed pie. Parts of it aren't cooked properly. Some of it's too hot, and one section is perfectly cooked and will be ruined with any more heat. Cast-wise, the film is great. They focus on a couple of actors and really let them build out their characters and emotional journeys. The general cast delivers their lines well, and no one seems out of place. For standout performances, you have Alfie Williams as Spike, Jodie Comer as Isla, and Ralph Fiennes as Dr. Kelson. Jodie Comer as Isla does a fantastic job playing a sick and confused mother trying to take care of her son. She does a beautiful job with the emotional journey, making you sympathize with Isla's plight and respect her for her strength and willingness to help others. She plays off of the other leads well, and shows amazing chemistry with Alfie Williams. The two look like a real mother-son combo. Next up is Ralph Fiennes as Dr. Kelson. He plays an eccentric person who's passionate about his life's goal and who finds meaning in his work. Like a religious mentor, Fiennes takes Isla and Spike under his wing and tries to teach them his insane approach to the world. Fiennes creates a fascinating character that's hard to look away from. He's surrounded by a mixed atmosphere that feels both comforting and incredibly creepy at the same time. Like if there were spiders crawling over your skin, but somehow it felt warm and soft instead of ticklish. Alfie Williams as Spike is the big winner here. He plays a traumatized boy that has to go through a coming-of-age ceremony. He plays it reluctantly, like any child would be, shows off a huge range of emotion while dealing with the different issues that come up, and manages to fit right in with Aaron Taylor Johnson and Jodie Comer. He did a fantastic job holding his own in scenes with them, and showed off peak chemistry with the rest of the cast. The visual journey is nice to look at, but it struggles at different points to get the story across clearly. There's also a lot of weird inclusions that take away from the journey as a whole by being confusing and annoying. They did a good job with the sets and costumes, creating an environment that looks like a post-apocalyptic world. They did a great job with the zombies and their makeup. They look disgusting, like monstrous walking corpses that have been left out in the sun too long. When it comes to the chases and attacks, they do a fantastic job building up the tension and making the encounters dreadful and terrifying. They even show off a wonderful level of variety with the different types of zombies having unique personalities and appearances. The problem comes from two major areas. The film loves to do subliminal cuts to try and make a grander point about the story, and they constantly do this weird editing trick during combat that ruins just about every kill in the film. The subliminal cuts are to random video footage from World War II, to different nightmare scenarios, or even sometimes as a flashback to previous events. The problem is they're presented in a grainy manner, cut down to literal flashes, and don't have a clear meaning. They happen so fast that often you can't even parse them before they're gone, so you're left trying to catch up while they continue the story. They might add little bits of flavor on a second viewing, but during the first one they're just distracting. The editing trick during combat involves them freeze framing on the arrows right before they hit the zombies and then speeding it back up. It's like a momentary pause during combat so your brain can spend a moment imagining what's about to happen. The first few times it happens, it makes the kills feel punchier and snappier. Then it just starts getting confusing. It looked like they took frames away from the kills because of how it works, and to me it made the scenes look noisier and garbled. Sound-wise, the film does everything just right. They've got enough British flavor to keep things interesting and unique, and the background instrumentals they use come in quietly and add a ton of flavor to the scenery. The music never interferes with the story, it only complements it. They also know when to peel it back and let the environment do its job. There's lots of great ambient noise and sound design coming from the zombies. Personally, I found this film to be a mixed experience. I thought the actors were doing a good job and I liked parts of the production, but the story as a whole was really lacking. It just didn't make any sense. I could sit down and nitpick through it all day, but I won't. It's just not worth the time. If you want an example, here's the ultimate one. They blow up a room full of benzene with two of the survivors in it, and neither of them is burned at all. Not even a single singed hair. As for a rating, I'd give this film a 6 out of 10. It still has good elements to it. The story just sucks. If you can turn your brain off, it makes for a good laugh with a bit of tension. Otherwise, give it a pass. It's just another mindless zombie film with nothing to say. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye bye!